if you're the one attacking and you're the one winning, you don't have to worry about being attacked because you're doing the attacking.
The way that we, I think we got on the show was I sent a video to Greg of us blowing an aluminum can in half in like half a second. It's just like it's there and then it's gone.
So, I mean, being a good driver is helpful, but that's never going to make you the champion.
He actually blew up one of the fittings on one of our propane tanks.
Boom.
That's right.
Today we're talking to Gruff and Whiplash.
On this episode of
Behind the Battle.
Hey everyone, we're on with Team Gruff. Hi Team Whiplash. I want to kind of start with how you guys got started with robotics.
My first fight was at Combots Cup 5 in 2010.
Oh, sweet. So it really hasn't been that long, honestly.
It's kind of weird to now be like thought of as like the, I guess like one of the veterans. I'm kind of in like a funny phase where there's like the veterans that did BattleBots, like when it was on Comedy Central, and then there's like the new teams that are like starting with ABC and post that, and like we're one of the teams is like in the middle.
Like a new age veteran.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Jeremy, what about you?
I saw it first on Comedy Central back in the day, and I was like, I gotta do that. And I told my dad, I was like, we gotta do that. He's like, no way. One day my mom came home from work and she said that she worked with a lady whose husband was Lawrence Fair, who was actually one of the guys he had bought Zilla on Robotica. He lived in the same city as us, and so we were able to contact him and get started in combat robots that way. He was our mentor. He just let us build our first robot in his basement.
I got started because of Jeremy, watching Comedy Central BattleBots, and hooked up with Larry and helped us through, and been doing it ever since. It was hard to find local competitions, so we started putting on some local competitions, and we've been doing that probably for the last 15 years or so. And that's actually how I met Sam. He came up to some of our competitions and competed, and got to know him then, and also going to Robo Games and helping him out some out there.
Super cool. So you said you guys put on a competition?
Yeah, we do Clash of the Bots and also Hickory Bot Battles for the smaller bug weight competitions up to 3 pounds. Yeah, in Gastonia is Clash of the Bots, and Hickory Bot Battles, of course, is in Hickory, North Carolina.
Well, I mean, it's awesome to hear that you guys are literally giving back. I found out that a lot of the teams have competed in bug weights before even BattleBots, and so it's everything's starting to fit together like puzzle pieces, and that's super cool. You mentioned that you were competing in like beetle weight robotics. Yeah. Do you have the beetle weight bot that you can show us?
Oh, a million of them.
Yeah, I can grab them.
I would love to see it. All right, let's see it. Let's see the bot.
So
that one. That was Jason's. And that was
both of those. This is one of the few that we have that's still in one piece. So this is Jason's robot.
It heavily resembles Minotaur, if you know that robot. But it's been around for, I want to say, like 6-ish years, if not more. But it ranks in almost any competition it goes to. It's been extremely competitive, and it taught me a lot about driving, about building, about designing.
My very favorite bot. I think it's a tie.
This is also Jason's robot.
This is also mine.
Yeah, just a little grabber lifter. So you it's a little wedge robot. You grab him, and it has this little arm underneath that you lift him up and carry him around.
That was like a huge crowd favorite. People went nuts over crowd.
Awesome. Was the goal to like get them out of the ring or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was just like all right, you're out.
Yep.
Exactly.
But first he would taunt them,
pick
them up and drive them over to where the driver was, drive it over to the judges, to the crowd, and then he'd dump it.
The game's over. I win.
Basically.
How hard was it for you to go from something small like beetle weight to be like, oh, BattleBots is happening, let's do this?
very difficult.
Well, I think it was not really all that difficult because we had done heavyweights and middleweights and lightweights in previous years, so we kind of knew like what we were getting into. It wasn't like a brand new thing for us.
We did it in some of the untelevised competitions, and actually I had a heavyweight back in the day in the Comedy Central days. But so we had to build the robot quickly, but we had all the tools, we had a lot of the material, we had the know-how. We just put it together and took it there, and that was the beginning.
Tell me about the weapons on Gruff.
The original weapon was the lifter and grappler, so we can pop bots up and grab them, and the original plan was to like run them into the wall, but now the plan is to grab them and torch them. Obviously, we got the torches that we've spent a lot of time basically turning into an actual weapon, so we can cause real damage with them.
I've said this to Sawblaze, I've said this to Mammoth. Flamethrowers are my favorite part of BattleBots. Every bot that has a flamethrower is okay in my book, and it's a part of the carnage. I want to see flames out there. There's so much wreckage and smashing and crashing and throwing them into the walls, but there's nothing goes better with that than just lighting something on fire.
Fire makes everything better.
Fire makes everything better.
Most flamethrowers are like they're mostly just for show. Like they make big orange fireballs that look good, but don't really do much damage. And ours is basically designed to take as much heat as possible and dump it into the other bot.
Yeah.
The way that we I think we got on the show was I sent a video to Greg of us blowing an aluminum can in half in like half a second. It's just like it's there and then it's gone.
What kind of damage are you looking to do with a flamethrower?
A lot of our strategy is about outlasting the other guy. All of our stuff is designed very like conservatively, whereas like a lot of bots, they're trying to get as much power in as like little weight in their motors and batteries and speed controllers as possible. So anything that we can do to push them past their limits is basically one of the things we're going for. Then the other thing is like just the ability to like melt wheels. If we can grab somebody and hold on to them for like 8 to 10 seconds, then like we can light like a Coulson wheel on fire.
I wanted to talk to you about your fight with Samuel McAmis with Gruff. Talk about low ground. Let's talk about it.
So for our Sawblaze fight, we took the sort of opposite approach. It was the defensive approach, where we would let him get under us, and we were trying to prevent his weapon from doing what we wanted it to do. But in reality, I'd say the biggest lesson I learned from that fight is a good defense is a good offense. If you're the one attacking and you're the one winning, you don't have to worry about being attacked because you're doing the attacking. So, I mean, it's real simple, but that's the reality. That's how you win fights. So in this fight, it was go all offensive. I designed these super low front skirts on the front that were actually kind of inspired by a very old school robot called Biohazard that had these skirts that went all the way around the robot. So they had, little bungee cords that, had elastic that pulled them into the floor and they were hinged. So I knew that those would be very hard for him to get underneath. And fortunately, they worked awesome. He maybe got underneath them once and wasn't really able to do anything with it. So we just plowed right into him, pushed him around, and he couldn't get any lifts in. So that was great for us. Yeah. Another interesting thing is if you look at like the list of like seasons 1, 2, 3, what season? This is season 5. Yeah. Season 1, 2, 3, and 4, the champion robots, all they had to do was just drive into their opponent. None of them had to like really be good drivers. They had to outdrive them. The robots were designed so well that they never had to do that. They would just drive forward into them and they would win every fight. So, I mean, being a good driver is helpful, but that's never going to make you the champion. If your robot can't live up to your driving, you're never going to win.
You've got to have both ends of the equation, especially now. I mean, the power and everything is just so elevated from where it was, You just can't, no one delivers one hit in, the first 10 seconds and the other robot dies. It just doesn't happen anymore like that. You've got to be prepared to go the distance and take shots.
So as always, everybody knows that the Whiplash drivers are some of the best in the whole game, So we were a little bit nervous about that, honestly. Like we didn't know. I mean, Sam is also a really great driver too. He's I'd say up there. He actually blew up one of the fittings on one of our propane tanks.
Yeah, he got a direct hit on one of our propane tanks from the bottom.
Boom.
That's right.
He flipped us over, and then we flipped back right side up right on top of his weapon. It tore out a big piece of our bottom armor and also a medium-sized piece of the propane tank, and broke the fittings off the tank. So the tank was still attached and intact, but then it just dumped all the propane out of the rest of the system.
Yeah, you can see it in the video where when that happens, you just see a big ball of fire kind of inside of Gruff, and then it goes away.
Dude, that's wild.
We had a new drive system this year.
Yeah.
So basically, we have this weird like hybrid. We're calling it brushed, more or less, because it has one brushed motor and one brushless motor tied together.
Oh,
So we've got the starting torque of the brushed, and then we've got the high power of the brushless. We tested it out at the Maker Faire Orlando last year, and we were running like 25 chain between them, and it worked really well for the 2-minute matches that we were doing. But then when we pull the bot out, the chain would be like blue and yellow because it had discolored from getting so hot. And so it lasted, they were doing 2-minute fights there. So like, we're like, well, it lasts 2 minutes, but I don't know if it's going to make it 3 minutes in the battle box. We switched to timing belts because they'll run a lot more efficiently and not get as hot. And in all our testing, it worked great. As soon as we put it in the battle box, we fight Hypershock, and seems to go pretty well. We pull the robot out, take a look at it, and all the teeth are gone off the timing belt.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's not good. Then we went into the Whiplash fight, worrying about it a little bit, but like you can't, like we thought maybe it'd be okay. Basically, within probably the first 30 seconds, 45 seconds or so, we lost the brushless motors again. So then we're driving the whole robot around on just the 2 short mags. You can't run a heavyweight on 2 short mags for 2.5 minutes. So basically, it ran another minute and a half at a reasonable amount of power, and then we killed our drive motors basically. So we managed to limp through to the 3 minutes, but honestly, if they hadn't been beating us up so much and they had just like kind of let us sit there, they may have started counting it. They may have counted us out.
2 brothers driving. Like, how common is that?
I mean, Jason really kind of is a driver's coach. I mean, he stands over your shoulder. And Jay, you could talk a little bit about what you do.
I mean, Matthew tells me this, and I could contest from my own fights, but you really don't remember your own fights that well because you're just so involved and there's just so much on the line, and it's so important that you're really just like, you're kind of tuning certain things out. And some of those things could be beneficial if you just know about them. So I just try and think of the things that he may not see, may not be paying attention to, may have forgotten about, and I just try and bring it up. I don't think it's that huge of a job. Matthew's obviously doing all the hard work, but like,
come on.
I think it's definitely helped us.
Yeah, you get when you're driving, you get like tunnel vision. So a lot of the time, you're just like you're making like split-second decisions. So you might not be paying attention to everything that's going on. So having Jason yelling in my ear like, "Watch out for that, do this. Watch out for that, do this."
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it can be helpful. I don't think it's something.
And there's a great chemistry between Matthew and Jason. Jeff used to kind of be in that position, and it just stressed the hell out of Matthew. Jeff gets like super excited, like banging on glass,
screaming in my ear.
Screaming in his ear.
I'm trying to focus.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was really
thanks
fun.
for having
Bye,
us.
guys.
Yeah,
See you
thanks
soon.
for having us.
See you soon.
See you soon.
This has been an amazing interview. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
Join us next time for more exclusive interviews on the Vex Robotics channel, and make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss a second of the action. Thanks for watching.